On today's episode, as you can see, it's a fire test between pink insulation and rock wool. Not only are we going to teach you how to properly insulate your home, your basement specifically, we're going to show you what not to use and why. Get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. It's that time again. Load the truck. Ladders, tools, all materials. And don't forget the coffee maker. Let's go. Love home reno? Do not change the channel. I am your host, Bob Assadourian of the Just Ask Bob Show. This show always has two goals in mind. Always. Number one, to demystify and educate you on everything to do with home improvements. How to repair, remodel, and beautify your home. Right from the foundation, right to the rooftop. Now, for whatever reason, if you can't tackle that yourself, maybe the ladder's not tall enough to reach the second story eavesdrop, or simply put, you do not have the time. Home renovations are not for you. That's fine. You follow this weekly program, you're going to learn all the in and outs of home reno. You're also going to learn a lot about licensing and contractors. We will advocate for you and teach you how to find what I like to call the right contractor for you and your home. Not any contractor, not your neighbor's contractor, your coworker's contractor, or your friends and family. The right contractor specifically for you and your home. Licensing, absolutely critical. Yes, it always matters. Unlike reality television, today's host is licensed. Not one, but two, the master and the building repair. Now, I can go on for hours and hours on why that's important, but I won't. We're going to keep it brief. Scan the QR code on your screen for dozens of our televised news interviews, which will demystify everything from A to Z. Everything to do with permits, licensing, contractors, everything you need to know, everything you ever wanted to know. That's absolutely critical. Remember, it's always a two-way street with the Just Ask Bob Show. Find us on social media, reach out to us with your questions, or at justaskbob.com, fill in our quick submit form, and we will get back to you. We'll either call you, email you to answer your question. It may be featured on this program, or we may answer it in our newsletter. Subscribe to the newsletter via our website. Big shout out and thank you to John Best of the Bay Observer. Second year in a row now, he's taking on our newsletter, copying it and publishing it in the Bay Observer. We're very, very grateful, appreciative, and thankful for that. Now we're going to kick it off, today's episode, with a viewer's email. Hello, Bob. Can you please do a show on wall insulation? I would really like to learn all about the various types of insulation. Thank you. This is from Tim in Hamilton, Ontario. Now, I'm really glad that Tim talked about variety. He talked about the various types or the different types of insulation. We've got a wild episode for you today where we're going to demystify all of it. We're going to talk about pink fiberglass. We're going to talk about rock wool. We're actually going to have a face-off between the two of them with a blowtorch set to high. We're going to set fire to both of them to show you which one you don't want in your home. And I'll give you a heads up, it's the pink stuff. We're also going to work with styrofoam insulation. And we're also going to show you at the end of the program spray foam. So there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of different avenues. Everything depends on your budget. But please take one thing in mind. When you cut the crooked and overcharging contractor out of the equation, you undoubtedly save. You save a lot of money. Reinvest that money back into your home, into buying the most expensive and highest quality materials and even tools for yourself if you're going to DIY the project. So always reinvest that money, because remember, your home is always an investment. After this break, we're going to be on location at one of our job sites and to start insulating the walls. Stay tuned. Now, let's get a good look at the building permit. There's a reason. We're remodeling a basement, we're tampering with insulation, and we're working and rebuilding structure. So if any job qualifies for a building permit, it's this one. Now, not just because of the structure. Regular basement, you're remodeling it, you need a permit. Kitchen, bathroom, you're taking down drywall, replacing insulation, again, you need a permit. Now, if you're doing the job yourself, DIY, the permit's still important because it is the law. You can even have legal complications down the road if there's a fire or damage and your insurance company, your homeowner's insurance company asks you, where is the permit? So without a permit, it's illegal, hands down. Final thing to keep in mind, you're hiring a contractor. You yourself, you work in a factory, you work at a bank, you're not necessarily the expert on home improvements. Think of the city building inspector as protecting you from your contractor potentially. The city will come at several key critical points and will inspect the work your contractor is performing. That protects you, the homeowner. If the contractor is doing it contrary to the design plan or doing it incorrectly or violating the building code, your name's on that permit. They will let you know. So to know, on the left is the contractor's information. On the right, again, the contractor. In the middle, which we've got blacked out here for, privacy reasons, is the homeowner's name. So the city will let you know if something wrong is being done. Always insist that the permit's used and you make the contractor supply the permit, not you, the homeowner. Follow us inside. We're going to get a very good look at all four walls of this basement. Today, we're going to teach you how to insulate your basement walls. Like always with the show, it's always a choice for you, the homeowner. We have two choices here. We have pink and we have rock wool. And literally, we're going to teach you through this episode why one is a Bob's top pick and one's a Bob's beware. Let's do a little bit of a tour here. This wall specifically, you might be wondering what the no's for. This area here is inside the upstairs landing of the home. So this is a warm zone. So the no means no insulation. We want the heat to migrate through into the warm zone. On the bottom, again, no insulation, because behind here we have a crawl space with copper water pipes in it. So you don't want the heat to be trapped in here. You want it to migrate underneath and keep the copper pipes warm. Up top, yes. This area will be insulated because this is the outside of the home, literally the walkway. If you take a moment to look here, we've created a zone here. We've used spray foam to separate the insulated zone from the non-insulated zone. Let's take a moment to talk about heat loss. The number one place your home loses heat is through the rim joist. Always the rim joist. The rim joist is the cavity directly above the wall running across the entire top. Heat rises, and that's where you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it directly through the rim joist. On this particular job site, we've chosen to specifically go overboard on insulating the rim joist. What we've done is we've chosen a solid, rigid foam board insulation to put in first because that will stop air leaks. To work with the styrofoam, I recommend an Olfa knife. Very nice, very sharp. You want to cut this little ridge off. So this is the tongue, because this stuff is tongue and groove. Very easy to cut. Very easy to score and snap. Pass it off to Ryan. There you go, buddy. Make it look easy for the viewers. So we place that. Very nice. Now, we're going to spray foam it. There's two types of spray foam. This is the blue, low expansion. This is what you want to use. You want to make sure to spray foam the perimeter. 2 reasons. 1, the job goes quickly because we're not fussing with having exact cuts. So the styrofoam goes in place quick and easy. Number 2, the spray foam will expand and create a thermal seal, all 4 sides. Then we add the rock wool insulation on top of it. That's a double method. Always remember, heat rises. Therefore, at the top height, which is the rim joist, that is where you're going to lose the most heat. For your vapor barrier, you want to staple it in place. That just helps keep it in place while you tape. Next step is you want to tape it. Now it's very, very important, I believe, to tape it. The Ontario Building Code and the municipalities will pass it without taping. They feel that the air won't get up there or escape at that height. So building code requires it taped on the walls, but not up inside the rim joist cavities. But I suggest you do it, especially if it's your home. You always want to do a good job. And if you're paying a contractor, you want to make sure they do a good job. And remember, it's been a few years now. The building code's changed. Used to be red tape. Now it's blue. You want to make sure seal every possible gap. Nice and tight and above building code. One of the very first inspections is for insulation. If the insulation is put in wrong or the vapor barrier is tied in on the wrong side, you will create a trap for mold. And I mean lots of mold. That's why the municipalities will always come out to inspect. Your first call for inspection will be when these walls are insulated. This will be tightly insulated. Very, very energy efficient. The type of basement, in the dead of winter, you can heat with a candle. And in the middle of summer, you can cool with an ice cube, practically. Not only are we going to teach you how to properly insulate your home, your basement specifically, we're going to show you what not to use and why. Fire test between pink insulation and rock wool. As you can see, much, much more resistant to fire. I don't know about you, but this is the one I would want in my home. Now, additionally, it's a firm product. It'll hold itself inside the cavity. And it's not itchy on your skin. And the highest R value for any bat product that you could put inside your wall cavity. I love this knife. It's the bread cutter made by Rockwool. Very sharp, and you serrate right through. And Ryan's even using it as a template for his measurement. You always want to cut an inch wider in both ways. That way you can compress in the insulation. We have a pink insulation piece here as an example, an idea. Now let me show you. See, this pushes in easily. The rock wool not as easily. The rock wool is dense, it's firm, it's solid, it stays in place. This is very limp and weak, doesn't stay in place. Again, I mean, I'm not now, but you should be wearing gloves when you're handling this. Not necessarily for the rock wool. I've been using it for decades, doesn't bother my skin at all. Let's get rid of this. Nothing but a Bob's beware. Let me show you a method for cutting this in place. No tape measure required. Now, you want to put it up to the top. You want to hold it near the cross block. There's the cross block. Give it a mark. Now, flip it up, and you want to sight line that to be straight. Now, you want a compression fit. So this is over 1.5 inches longer than what we need. Let's see how that fits. Nice, tight fit. This is the correct way to insulate, not this though. Have a look if you want to look and see how it's been pushed in too much. That needs to be pulled flush. You have to be flush. You don't want to be sunken. You don't want anything like that. Remember R value. The R means resistance. Resistance to heat loss. This will keep the heat in the room. It will resist the cavity, but you want it flush. All right, that was one little trick, how to cut without the need for a tape measure. Now we've got our best installer coming up next, Ryan. He's going to show you how to put it around, install it around a receptacle. All right, as you can see, Ryan is sizing it up in place. He's obviously figuring out where the receptacle is, cutting out a notch or removing a piece. Hopefully just the right size so we have a little bit of compression. You don't want air pockets. You don't want empty voids, empty cavities. Ryan's already cut it to length. And then he's going to also peel the vapor barrier back. So the vapor barrier is on the front side. The electricians, when they went through and put in all the receptacles, they pre-added vapor barrier so that we have something to tie in our vapor barrier to afterwards. Now these can be fussy, so you have to take your time. But remember, it's your home. Like Bob always says, when you cut the crooked overcharging contractor out of the equation, reinvest the money saved into the best materials possible, like the rock wool, and then put in your time, invest your skill and time and labor, and you're going to have a well-done project. There we go. The vapor barrier now has something to tie in our vapor barrier. There are times when the space between the wall studs is really small, like in this case, 2.5 inches. So it's best to apply the triple expanding foam. You want to shake it up real good, and then you want to wiggle it as you go. Now remember, you don't have to go crazy filling the entire cavity because it will expand. When it resists like that, it means it needs shaking. You leave it a few hours, let it expand, and if you need more, you can tend to it. Because if you put too much in right off the start, you're going to have to cut a lot of the excess off. We must pick up the pace now. We're getting behind. We've done our absolute best to teach you, taught you how to cut with a tape measure, taught you how to cut without, measuring in place, cutting around receptacles. We hope you've learned a lot, and please remember again, always use rock wool, always buy the best quality materials you can afford. Time to fly. Now we're at our final step of installing the vapor barrier. Hold it tight, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thanks. You want to make sure not to over staple it. Obviously the drywall is going to be holding it up. You just want to get it on so it doesn't fall down. Make sure to tape all your joints with the right color tape. Seal very carefully and pay attention to around the receptacles and light switches. This is under inspection, so the inspector will be critiquing your work here. There you have it. Take a look at this fully insulated, beautiful basement rec room, which will be toasty warm in the dead of winter and ice cool in the middle of the heated summer. Stay tuned. We're back at the shop. For everything home rental, follow us on social media. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the show. And most importantly, I hope you learned and empower yourself to insulate your own home. Not just the basement. You can be insulating your kitchen, your bathroom. You can be applying insulation to your attic. That's a little different. We'll get to that one day in the future. Now we have a specific part of the program here called Bob's Top Picks and Bob's Bewares. This is based on my over 35 years experience in the home rental industry. As a beware, do not use pink insulation. Now that is also the favorite installation of the crooked overcharging unlicensed contractor. Why? Because it's dirt cheap. They're going to charge you sky high and they're going to provide dirt cheap products. Stay away from the pink. It's flammable, it's itchy, it's got the lowest R value. Absolute garbage. Now for a top pick, for a bat style product that is squishy that you install in the cavity yourself, Rockwool, hands down. Won't set itself on fire. It's dense, it's thick, it holds itself firmly inside the cavity. Now, for a super product, and we have that as well, is the spray foam. Spray foam is unique. It's in a category of its own. As you can see now, it self-expands. It will fill every single crevice, every single void. Now, why didn't we use it on this specific job site? Well, we're working on less than 2/4 of a basement. The one wall is a brick wall. The other wall is an inside wall. So it's only 2 walls. So we had to make a rational decision on this Just Ask Bob job site, and we went with the Rockwool. But if it's a full basement, a large basement, or even other areas of your home, if you can afford it, definitely, hands down, use the spray foam. Speaking of affording, speaking of education, we have the largest database on the net. Save your money, do it yourself, invest your time in our database at justaskbob.com. And remember now, everyone learns differently. You learn by listening. Then follow our radio programs, not from one, but 2 former Hamilton radio stations, the former Just Ask Bob radio show. Learn by listening. Do you learn by reading? We have dozens and dozens of columns, DIY Q&A columns. You can learn from that. You learn best, just as you're doing right now, by watching. We have over 10 seasons of the Just Ask Bob show, including Additional to that, all our news station advocacy interviews. So whether you learn by listening, reading, or watching, we have it all on the largest database on the net at justaskbob.com. Are you old school? Want to just pick up the phone? We always welcome your calls, and all your calls will be returned. 289-649-0196. Again, that's 289-649-0196. Thank you. Until next time.